Welcome to Guernsey. Yes, I actually live in this island, believe it or not. Some people, my daughter and my family will tell you, I live on an aeroplane. But no, I'm in Guernsey. And we're going to talk about how to buy property in Guernsey. And I'm so delighted to be joined by Nick Paluch, who is the local expert that can talk about open market, local market, what should I buy, where should I buy, do I rent first? And all of those wonderful things dealing with luxury real estate in Guernsey. Nick, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
That's fantastic. And it's, where should we start? Who can buy in Guernsey?
So Guernsey's quite a unique place. We've actually got two markets. We've got a local and an open market, and that was sort of designed to protect the people that were born here so that they didn't sort of get pushed out by rising prices. So local market, you have to have been born here or have an employment permit, which are available if you get a job in one of the sort of primary sectors, or the open market, which is the easiest route into the market, and that's where you can just buy a property and then you're immediately entitled to live and work here.
So wow, so in Guernsey, unlike the Bahamas, Miami, New York and all those other places I've been in the world, Guernsey has two markets, not one, two. Local market, as Nick explained, an open market. So so local market, I was born here, I have a right to reside, I buy local market properties. Yep. Open market is where I like the idea of having more security, a lower tax environment, no capital gains tax, no inheritance tax. There are some tax advantages in living in this financial centre, and that's open market.
Absolutely, yeah.
And can anyone live in an open market property?
So sadly not everyone. It does have to be someone who has the right to reside in the UK, so either a UK passport or an entrepreneur or an investor visa through that same sort of mechanism.
If you have a right to reside in the UK, you can buy a property on the open market in Guernsey.
Yeah.
What are the advantages of living here?
Well, other than the fantastic lifestyle, the beaches, the amazing restaurants, the lovely community, the other advantages, like you touched upon, are the tax. So there's lots of good advantages there. No CGT, no inheritance tax, no VAT, caps on income, worldwide income as well. So lots of benefits there. But for me, it's all about community and it's the lifestyle that you get here.
For those that don't know Guernsey, it's 24 square miles. 8 miles long, 3 miles wide, population about 63,000. So it's kind of like a large village from the UK, but on an island, and we're surrounded by water. And for those that have been following me for a while, I love sea swimming. I swim every single day. Nick, do you swim?
Not in the winter.
He says it calls me mad. Not in the winter.
No.
Why not?
Summer, I love it. I'm just not quite brave enough in the winter.
Breathing. He's got to master his breath. He has to sort of maybe we can have a challenge. If there's people out there that think Nick should swim with me during the winter, maybe Christmas Day swim, Boxing Day swim, please come on, that would be kind of fun in the comments. But going back to property, so local market, open market, anyone can buy that has a right to reside in Guernsey. What does that look like in terms of prices? Where, if I want to buy on the open market, where does that start? What do I get for my money?
Open market, typically there's not much available under £1 million, but there are the odd few. The average price, which is not always indicative of the exact market because there are fluctuations, but the average price can be around 1.2 to 1.4 million depending on the year.
What does that buy me? So if I'm going to spend 1.2 to 1.4 million for an open market property, what am I getting for my money?
So that would be relatively entry level, but you'd get a detached house, 3 or 4 bedrooms. There's quite a lot of our property stock on a sort of an enclave called Fort George, so you'd sort of get the sort of starting point there at that sort of 1.25. But as you go up to more 2 to 3 million, you'll start getting some really fantastic modern properties. Or if you're more a fan of character, some lovely farmhouses, sort of cottages and things like that. So there's lots of variety, lots of different properties, which is great.
Fantastic. So we have parishes in Guernsey, which is areas to live. You mentioned Fort George, which used to be a fort back in the day when we kind of had wars and things. Thank God we don't have those things going on here at the moment. But so Fort George, how many houses are there? Maximum price. I think there was a lovely house just by the marching field. I can't remember what it's called now. That was 5 million.
Belvedere,
8 million.
there was one that was auctioned there that needed a bit of work, but there isn't really a cap to Fort George in terms of values. There are properties there that will be worth in excess of 20 million. But
wow,
but currently
20 million. If you want the top property. Is that in Guernsey or just on Fort George?
I would say there's more valuable properties outside of Fort George as well. So we've got St George, which is another property in estate in the middle of the island, and that's available at the moment 25. But there are others
25 million
as
wow.
well.
So. St George, good old St George.
That's right. Very
a beautiful home, huh? Did he live here? What's the story?
I think he fought the dragon here. I think that was what it was.
Wow, we're going to have to find out what the story is. So St George, so 25 million. So that's obviously high-end, top-end of the market.
Absolutely stunning. 35 acres of land plus guest cottages, interiors by Janine Stone, lots of indoor leisure facilities, pool, sauna, squash court, one of only 2 squash courts on private properties in the island. So yeah, really one of a kind.
So I remember there's a super yacht from a billionaire whose name escapes me that owns Tottenham, and he had his own paddleboard court on his own super yacht. So there are only 2 properties in Guernsey that have their own private squash court.
That's right, and to my knowledge, none have paddle courts yet. But that's an emerging thing. I think that'll happen.
Yeah, paddle courts is a bit like I don't know, social media. It's developing super fast, or maybe it's more AI. So anyone can live here. There's local market prices. Where do they start? So I need a 1-bed flat. I've just finished uni and I'm coming to Guernsey to work.
Yeah,
300,000. Where does the 1-bed flat start?
Yeah, that'd be about right. 350, something like that. You can get some again that are a bit lower without parking or sort of gardens, but for the local market, that would be the sort of starting point there.
350.
Yeah.
Wow. So from a financing perspective, 5 times joint income is possible. So you're going to be 60,000 5 times with a deposit. So it's a big ask as a starting point.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, particularly in the sort of medical and teaching sectors, wages are a bit higher here. So hopefully if people are looking at this from a point of view of moving to the island, if you're in those industries, particularly teaching or medicine, then hopefully you'll be able to get a good deal, and some employers also offer relocation packages as well. So that's a great way to come in, and if you get an employment permit with that, then you'll be able to buy on the local market, so much more affordable there.
And what sort of types of property are there available? So I've seen castles, I've seen luxury 1-floor apartment style buildings. In this building, the top floor, there's someone I know who's got a lovely big apartment. So what sort of different types of property do I get, or can I get? Yeah,
so I think you hit the nail on the head there. There's a huge variety, everything from fishermen's cottages to penthouses to forts and castles. I guess there's no average, but that's what the beauty of Guernsey is, really. You know, there is no sort of every house is different. There is no sort of average pound per square foot. It's not like a London market where that road everything will be the same price depending on size. Here, if you're on one side of the road and your garden faces south, it might be different to the other side of the road. If you've got a view, makes a big difference with values, all of those sorts of things. So it's really a case by case sort of market.
What is the buying process? So I want to relocate to Guernsey, I land, I come and see you. Where do we start? What is the conversation like? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we focus on open market because it sort of covers a bit more, but it's quite simple actually. You don't even need to come here in order to buy. We do virtual viewings and things like that where necessary. That sort of sprung up post-COVID, but it's always better if you can come and see the house, get in the car with us. We'll show you as much as we can. Once you've decided which property you like, then we'll guide you through the process, but it's a case of agreeing a price. We'll draw up some conditions of sale, which is a document that sort of outlines what's being agreed, and then you'll put it through your advocates. The seller will put it through their advocates, and once all parties are happy, once you've done surveys if you need them, once you've got your finance agreed if you need them, once you're happy with the boundaries, then we do a sort of what we call signing up, but it's an exchange basically on the contract, and then the completion will be a few weeks after that as agreed by both parties. So quite straightforward. Really, it's it's a bit less convoluted than a lot of other markets, and we like that. You know, Guernsey's a nice place. It's nice and simple.
So Nick, you mentioned advocates. What is an advocate? Because that's a different terminology that some of the viewers won't be familiar with.
Another term really for lawyer or solicitor.
Okay, so it's your lawyer.
Yeah, colloquially we call it advocate.
And how fast? So let's say I land today, I've been pre-approved, all the money laundering checks, etc., and I found a £3 million place. What's the fastest deal that could be done here? If everyone said, right, I'm going to move in next Friday, how quickly could it be done?
So actually, I've just done one in 2 weeks. So
2 weeks.
It is possible. Tight this time of year. Everyone wanted it. Everyone wanted to be top of the list.
What I find at this time of year, you can never find a lawyer when you want one because they've already closed and gone home for Christmas. Yeah. So you could, if you wanted to, buy a property here within 2 weeks.
Yeah, pull out all the stops.
So I said today, let's say it's Monday today. It is Monday today, so that's good. Yeah. So I arrived here Monday and I said, right, let's go. I want to buy that house. We could get it done within 2 weeks.
Yeah. If we all work together, we can do that. And this is where having a good, strong relationship with your estate agent, with the advocates and lawyers, that helps, but that is possible.
Wow, I mean, I think the fastest place that I've learnt so far this year was Cayman, where I think it was 3 days, which is unbelievable. I know, and I haven't visited yet, some of the Scandinavian countries, everything's digital. It's all title deeds, financing, the whole process, start to finish, is digitalised.
I love that.
And I think 24 hours, but I'm going to visit in 2024 and find out.
I'll watch that space for that. Yeah.
How real and how quickly it can be done, but everything is digitalised. And I think in time, title deeds and everything will be on maybe a blockchain-based system that everyone can see everything.
Yeah, it makes sense to go that way, definitely.
I think so, but it never knows. So in Guernsey, you can get everything done within 2 weeks. You can find a house, instruct a survey, arrange an advocate, sign up, then arrange completion. All can be done within 2 weeks. Fantastic.
Yep, definitely possible. It's quick, but the average would probably be more sort of 4 to 6 weeks. But if you're in a hurry, 2 weeks is possible.
And I also know if you throw in the finance word, it's like swearing. It can take months, depending on your bank and your circumstances. It's not just a location jurisdiction challenge. Any finance in any jurisdiction will always complicate things and make things a little bit longer. And for me, purchases can be 3 to 5 months, sometimes with finance included. So if you're a cash buyer, it gets done quicker.
Yeah, or start that conversation early. Do it before you perhaps come out and start finding the property and get your heart set on something. Have the conversations with yourself and get that all agreed ahead of time if possible.
Pre-approval always helps, without question. Agreement in principle on the financing thing helps advisors like Nick so that they know you're good to go and the budget, and everything can be done much sooner. For those of you that move from location to location, either with job or through choice, and certainly in COVID times, people are much more fluid with where they live. Could I come and rent in Guernsey?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a strong rental market, quite competitive, so stock sometimes is a bit limited. So
availability could be a challenge if I wanted to turn up rent.
Yeah.
I throw in some pets and a wife and a few kids.
Yeah.
So a 4-bed house with pets could be a challenge.
Yeah, they're out there, and certainly there's not always everything is on the sort of widely publicised market, so it's worth having a chat with us.
So there's an off-market kind of conversation to have, is there?
Yeah, I guess there always is, just in terms of timings and things like that. We try and be as transparent and get everything out there if we can, but it's always best to have a good, strong relationship with an advisor like us. So
always be close to your advisor, plan ahead, get pre-approved on the finance, and if you need to move quick, plan ahead.
Yeah, good advice.
So Nick, what am I missing? I haven't seen any squirrels. What am I missing? What's going on with the wildlife here?
Yeah, it's pretty diverse, but there's no squirrels, red or grey. There's no foxes, which is great if you want to keep chickens. Badgers, if you're a cattle farmer. There's also no moles, which is good for your lawn. And there's no toads, although we do have frogs. We've got quite a good selection of animals, but we're quite fussy about what we let in.
Wow, no squirrels, foxes, toads, and a couple of other things. So there you go. Happy living here. Happy living if you've got pet allergies.
Yeah.
So Nick, I've just landed and I'm going to take out my Ferrari. What am I going to be careful of?
Well, speed limit would be the first thing.
Speed limit?
35 mile an hour is the top, but
35 miles an hour.
Most built up areas 25, some less.
So. It's great if I'm 80 in my little Fiat 500, but not my Ferrari then.
No, and filter in turns. That's
What?
always a bit of a confusing one for visitors.
What's a filter in turn?
UK market might know it as a box junction,
Okay.
but yellow lines painted in on a junction, and you have to just be very chivalrous and just let the person to your right go. So it's very friendly, but everyone likes that when they get to they panic, but you just got to let the person to your right go.
So if you are driving around with a hire car or foreign plates, people are kind of understanding, like, beep the horn at you. It's not a crazy place like India. And there was someone else recently, India and New York, people are mad for the horn, beep, 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 beep. You don't really get that in Guernsey. People might say something, but yeah,
Friendly.
filter in turns.
After you. No, after you. No, after you.
You're
No,
there
after
all
you.
day. Filter in turns.
If you're in a hire car, you get a big sticker on the back that says H.
So if you're a H car, you're a hire car, and everyone knows you're a visitor.
Yeah, then they'll really let you go first because they don't want to get in your way.
Perfect. So Nick, could I swim here?
I don't know how strong you are at swimming, but you could at a push. But don't worry, there are boats.
What about aeroplanes?
Yep. Good airport, and you can fly to most of Europe on private planes. There's scheduled flights to some of Europe and a lot of the UK.
Fantastic. So there is great connectivity when you're living on a small island. I think for me, connectivity on islands is super important.
Absolutely.
So Nick, who else should I talk to about my relocation to Guernsey?
So I think after you've got in touch with us and sort of looked at the logistics of moving here and finding a property, one of my strongest recommendations would be a tax advisor, and you can really get some benefits there, but it's always worth planning ahead and having a conversation with them.
To get great tax advice when you're relocating. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Nick.
My pleasure.
So for everyone, as always, please like and subscribe, comment below. If you want to reach out to Nick, I'm very happy to introduce you. His contact details will be in the comments below as well. Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
That's all right. And if you like and subscribe, I'll go for a swim in the winter.
Wow! Did you hear that? If you like and subscribe, how many should we have? 20, 50, 100? The more likes...
1,000 at least, please.
So I need 1 out of 10 of my current subscribers to like, and we'll go for a winter Christmas swim with Nick, and I'll help him with some master his breath, because if you master your breathing, the first initial 10 seconds are the worst. Once you're through to 30, anyone can swim many minutes. It's super easy.
Less screaming, more breathing.
Less screaming, more breathing. But like that
Can't
as well.
guarantee it.
If you want to see swim, less screaming, more breathing. Superb.